Now we can move on to the vectors. Considering physical quantities, there are two main parts. One is vectors, the other one is scalars. What are the vectors? So a vector quantity, there should be both direction and the magnitude is known as vector. For example, displacement, velocity, acceleration, then what else? Force, momentum, angular velocity, angular acceleration, angular momentum, magnetic flux density, field intensity. Those are the examples for vectors. What are the scalars? Scalars are the physical quantity which contain only the magnitude, unlike the direction. For example, time, pressure, energy, magnetic flux, then what else? Then area, volume, density. There are several examples under scalars. Now we can move on to the graphical interpretation of vector. Graphical interpretation of vectors. What is the graphical interpretation of vectors? So we know that there is a magnitude and the direction regarding a considerable vector. Those should be represented by a line. That is called graphical interpretation of vector. For example, object, the velocity of the object is 20 meters per second towards north. How would you graphically interpret that velocity? So you have to make use scale 1 centimeter, 4 meters per second. Then the length of the line should be 5 centimeters. It should be just like this. It should be just like this. It should be 20 meters per second. This is called graphical interpretation of a vector. Now we can move on to the factors affecting for equalating two vectors. So in order to equal the two vectors, or in order to identify two vectors, the one should be there should be same magnitude and same direction, plus both should be parallel, and the main important should be those should be homogeneous, which means those should be under one category. So then what happens? What are those requirements? As I mentioned earlier, both should be equal in magnitude and both should be parallel, and the other thing is both should be homogeneous. Right, now we can consider multiplication between vector and scalar. What happens when vector is multiplied by scalar? So the result should be vector at always. When scalar v is multiplied by another scalar, the result should be scalar. And when considering the multiplication between two vectors, what happens? The results can be either vector or scalar. That is main important thing, very important thing. Now we can move on to the triangle method in order to get the resultant of two vectors. So considering resultant of two vectors, we can consider two procedures. One is triangle procedure, the other one is parallelogram procedure. So in order to use triangle method, what you have to do is, first you have to graphically interpret the vector p using a particular scale. Then the vector q should be graphically interpreted at the final point of vector p. Taking the angle as theta towards anticlockwise direction, just like this. And then you have to graphically interpret the vector q as well. Then consider initial and the final point. The direction should be from initial to final. What would be the direction? It should be from initial to final. So using this angle, you can get an idea about the angle in between the resultant and the vector p. Now we can move on to the parallelogram theorem. Same as the triangle theorem, you may have to use a particular scale and vector p should be graphically interpreted. Then the vector q should be graphically interpreted at the initial point of vector p, just like this, taking theta towards anticlockwise direction. And then what you have to do is complete the parallelogram just like this. Then take the diagonal which goes through these two vectors like p and q. So this direction gives you the resultant, that is along the diagonal. So these are the two procedures in order to find the resultant. Now we can move on to the next subpart, which is mathematical procedure in order to get the resultant. When considering vector p and q and the angle in between those vectors as theta, you may have to use the same procedure as what we followed in the previous. This is vector p, and at the final vector q should also be represented. Then you have to join the initial and the final point. This gives you the this gives you the resultant. This is a normal. So you can consider these 3 points as A, B, C and followed by point D. So we know that this should be theta and BD should be Q cos theta and CD should be Q sin theta. Then what happens? We can apply Pythagoras theorem considering ACD triangle. ACD triangle. Using ACD triangle, what happens? We know that AC square equals AD square plus CD square. AC is capital R, AD, that is P plus Q cos theta, take the square of that as well. Then CD, Q sin theta, take the square. Then what happens? R square equals P square, then 2PQ cos theta plus Q square cos square theta, again Q square sin square theta. Then what happens? R square equals P square plus 2PQ cos theta, then as a common factor Q square can be taken out. Then sin square theta plus cos square theta, we know that value is 1. The equation becomes P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. That is the way of finding the resultant of these two vectors. So take the root which gives you the resultant, the magnitude of the resultant. In order to find this angle, take tan alpha equals opposite of adjacent. So opposite is Q sin theta divided by PQ cos theta. Now we can move on to an example in order to get the resultant. So considering this equation, R means the resultant of two vectors, P and Q are the vectors and theta is the angle in between two vectors and the alpha is the angle in between resultant and the vector P. Resultant and the vector P. For example, now we can consider a vector P is 12 newtons and vector Q is 10 newtons and the angle between those as 60. Then you have to find the resultant and alpha. Now what you have to do? Use R square equals P square plus Q square plus 2PQ cos theta. So then P equals 12, 12 square, Q equals 10, 10 square, 2 into 12 into 10 into cos 60. Then this is 144, this is 100, cos 60 and 2 cancel off. So the final answer 364. The root of 364 is the resultant, and in order to find alpha, make use that equation Q sin theta divided by P plus Q cos theta. Q is 10 sin 60 divided by P is 12. Q is 10 cos 60. Since sin 60 is 0.8660, which means root 3 divided by 2, and cos 60 is half, this becomes 17. So using this simplification, you can find alpha value as well. So tan alpha equals 8.66 divided by 17. So when you are referring tangent, natural tangent, you can find alpha value. That's all. Now we have to consider two vectors which are perpendicular to each other. So in order to get the resultant of two vectors such as x and y, what you have to do is you can use a parallelogram theorem. So x and y are the two sides of the parallelogram. Then we know that the resultant is given by the diagonal which goes through two vectors like x and y. And the other thing is, as this distance is y, this should also be y, then this is r. So using Pythagoras theorem, r square equals x square plus y square. So then we can conclude r equals root x square plus y square, and the tan alpha is opposite over adjacent. So these two are the equations in order to find resultant of two vectors which are perpendicular to each other. Now we can consider resolution of vectors. What is resolution of vectors? When a particular vector such as P makes an angle with the x-axis as theta. So the component of P towards the angle should be P cos theta, away from the angle should be P sin theta. When considering another example, if the vector is Q and the angle made by the vector with y-axis is beta, this component should be, what would be the component along y-axis? It should be towards the angle. Therefore, it should be Q cos beta. This should be Q sin beta. Considering another example such as S and the angle like gamma, what happens? Towards the angle S cos gamma, away from the angle S sin gamma. Now we can consider another example. Vector T and the angle like beta. So this should be T cos beta. This should be T sin beta. Those are the examples. Now we can find the resultant of two or more coplanar vectors. For example, when you are given of coplanar forces just like this, 10 newtons This is 30. This is 5 newtons and 5 root 3, 4 root 2, 45. This should be 4. Now you have to consider component of given forces along x-axis. First you have to consider for there should not be any sine or cos components because that is already along x-axis. Then considering 10, it should be what happens towards the angle, that is 10 cos 30. It should also be positive. Now we can move on to these three vectors, because no need to consider this vector that is along y-axis. Considering 4 root 2 along x-axis, it should be towards angle 4 root 2 cos 45, it should be negative, and 5 root 3 again negative. There should not be any sine or cos ratios because that is already along x-axis, same as 4 newtons. Now we have to consider 6 newtons. Take the component along x-axis. Is it 6 cos 30 or 6 sin 30? It should be 6 sin 30 and the negative. Now plus 4, this should be root 3 divided by 2. As a result of that 5 root 3, this is minus 4, minus 5 root 3, this is 3. Then what happens? The remainder is minus 3. Now we have to consider component along y-axis taking upward as positive. Now we can consider 10 newtons. It should be away from the angle, therefore 10 sin 30, it should be positive. Then considering 4 root 2, again away from the angle, it should be 4 root 2 sin 45, it should be again positive. Then 6 cos 30, it should be negative. 6 cos 30. Since 10 sin 30 is 5 and 4 root 2 sin 45 is 4, and then what happens? This is 6 cos 30, that is minus 3 root 3. This should be minus 9. This should be minus 9. Then what happens? The answer becomes minus 3 root 3. Then in order to get the resultant, what you have to do is consider 3 along x-axis towards left hand side and 3 root 3, it should be along y-axis but it should be downwards. Then you can take the resultant as well as the angle. So in order to find the resultant, r square equals x square plus y square. X is 3 square and y is 3 root 3 square. This becomes 36 and the root of 36 is 6. So the resultant is 6. And when finding tan alpha, that is y divided by x, y is 3 root 3, x is 3, so alpha is 60. That's all.